When I was a boy, my daddy used to say, and who remembers the context, it was probably something inappropriate, but he would say, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good as I was once. I believe Toby Keith, gone home to glory much too soon, had a song with a title in a similar vein. It might have been a witty Southern colloquialism, I don't know. Now, there was a time that Mike and Mike would dive through some California canyons between Ojai and Santa Barbara. What we call hollers, Cali types, they call canyons and ravines, maybe valleys. Now it's 1979 and I'm in Santa Barbara, California in school, and I live just down the road in a little town called Carpinteria. I had two bikes. One was a A65 BSA, everything needs tightening right now all the time, Thunderbolt. And the other was a Yamaha XS 750D. I know second gear is squirrely, I'm riding it anyway. Curious riders may want to plug into DuckDuckGo, California Highway 101. On your map, you'll see Santa Barbara on your left, Ojai towards your right. You'll see that Highway 101 pretty much parallels the coast in this area. But if you look inland, there's another road. I believe it's Highway 192. A little bit of a disclaimer here. I last rode this route in probably 1980. So your mileage halfway to Ohio 192 is Carpinteria, where I'm living. So my ride home is a fun thing almost every day. Highway 192 is sandwiched between the looming Los Padres National Forest mountains on the left and the vast blue Pacific on the right. The highway snakes up hills and around curves. The woods are deep and dark and old growth, and the roads that snake through them invite a delicious G-force that tugs at every axis. You need to develop some technical expertise and probably a healthy respect and consideration for these roads, because you could miss your line and disappear down one of these canyons, and you wind up like a broken boomerang. I remember I watched some YouTube channels, and one of them comes to mind right now is one called Canyon Carvers. I think I've got that right. These guys, they're very talented, very quick, they're very fast, their coordination is far beyond anything I could ever muster, I reckon. They're pushing things further than I once did, or did once knowingly. And with all that talent and the advantages of newer tech, and when I say newer, I mean anything since 1977, which was the birth year of that 750 Yamaha in this story, that technology provides vast advantages over any bike I rode back in the day that was, for the time, very challenging to me on those canyon roads. Riding 192 had put me in a mindset where I remembered riding in Italy. I had some back road riding experience in a previous life over there. Fun fact, the same BSA 650 that I rode in California, I also had in Italy, and rode the back roads there with that bike too. And it was a very interesting comparison. And what I came up with was generally the California roads were in much better shape. The woods, they were deeper and darker and more woody. The ravine and the ravines and valleys in Italy were more open, and speed limits were more of a suggestion. Riding these two different roads on two different continents, it's remarkable that two different roads, two different continents have a very similar taste and feel to the ride. It is as if the G-forces haven't a nationality and no geographical distinction. Same kind of fun. Here's the thing, while being 24, manly and immortal, I always chose to ride with the gear. In these days, the gear was helmet, boots, gloves, leather jacket, jeans. Here is an event I have never forgotten. The memory of this ride is crystallized by a single occurrence. a one-time worlds aligning intersectional encounter that happened so suddenly I wasn't scared until I put the kickstand down and watched my legs trembling, glad that I hadn't tried to dismount the bike because I would have lost any pride I had by falling on my face. Trying to get some kind of timeline to this story under control, before all of that I just described happened, let's back up. I'm getting on the XS 750 today, school to crib. It's been a long school day, and I'm motivated to both get a ride and to get home. I'm comfortable, but I'm moving fast. I'm hitting the curves where I want to, wringing out the S's and the sweepers, bending the bike to my will. It's fun, it's invigorating, it's rewarding. I'm hitting all my turns, port and starboard. The braking and the shifting are getting along nicely. I'm working to keep the bike even and keeping the lines I want through the turns. It's smooth, so it's fast. We'll revisit that smooth equals fast concept another time. To reiterate, my pace is both smooth and fast, and that's my mindset. I'm in the zone and I'm feeling everything about this road bike dance right now. Here's the thing, I have this default setting, learned early and persisting still. That default is to always keep something in reserve. Always. Keeping something in reserve. You know, it's better than having that extra hole in your belt that you ain't using. It's better than having that leftover banana when your mate with a pet monkey shows up. And it's so much better than body checking a road adjacent tree that happens to be wider than the fattest lady at church. Bless her heart. Now, leave something in reserve default position, I guess could be put into the form of a mantra that would say something like, slow down, dumbass. Okay, so we're back in the moment. I'm accelerating out of a tight turn, shifting from second to third onto a shortish straightaway, maybe 200 feet. Then braking a little early for what is revealing itself to be a fast sweeper to the right. And I'm fixing to drop back into second gear where that Yamaha's fat torque curve gets all locomotive breath like, yeah. Now the XS is clunked into second and I have two questions on my mind. Will this bastard pop out of gear? And where is my exit? And 1, it did not. And 2, the path out manifested handily. Bonus, 3, 4, 5, and 6. A big thing. Hanging above the straightening road, about head height for me, is a brown shape about the size of a rugby ball. This shape is moving from shadow into sun, and it's coming straight down the road in my lane, hard and fast, straight at me. Because I saw, felt, detected this UAP on a beeline to my head, my 80% effort staged me to, rather than accelerate through second into third, I stayed in second. I used engine braking. I used the front and rear brakes effectively. We didn't know what trail braking was at the time. I knew what I had to do, and I knew I had the time to do it because I wasn't pushing 10 tenths. I tightened my line in the turn. I wanted to be inside of this object as it approached me, and I wanted to avoid high-siding into any traffic I had failed to notice. Having time to do all this as necessary, I was able to focus on this object as it passed about 3.5 feet off my port beam at chest height, slightly descended, a golden eagle. Female from the size, I reckon our closing speed had been about 60 American miles per hour, which means if she had hit me at chest level, it would have been bad eagle, no biscuit. Probably no Mike. I rated not a single damn passing glance. As if I was incidental to the eagle's path. What a big feathered bird. What if my threat was only perceived? What if the eagle had it cool and collected all the time? The eagle knew what he was going to do. The eagle knew what I was going to do. There was no danger other than the one I perceived in my mind. Whether the threat was real or perceived, I asked myself, how would this have worked out if I was running at 10 tenths, if I was on the edge, if I was pushing the edge, and all of this transpired in front of me? Had I not been riding like some sissy at 80% max effort, would any erroneous input to the bars or other controls have caused a problem for me? So maybe if I was pushing that edge and overcorrected, or grabbed too much front brake, or any number of other things that we've all experienced probably. I could have also, traveling at a faster speed, misread something, but I didn't know I missed it because everything at 10 tenths is bang, bang. So when you mix surprise and sudden reaction and, damn it, I wish I wasn't going so fast, it's not a good formula. But I wasn't going too fast. I didn't hit the tree, I didn't hit the canyon rim, I didn't hit other traffic. I didn't even have to stop for a change of underwear. I reckon we all have strong recollections where we can conjure an image in our past that pops up like a photograph. This is one of those times where I'm recalling that mental image, and it is persistent and seems so real. I'm seeing the mass, I'm seeing the brown, I'm seeing the shape, I'm seeing its bearing, and it's just there. It's just right there. It's akin to, maybe it's an 8-year-old's memory fixating upon some Sunday afternoon National Geographic special on PBS where partially nude Kenyan women are dancing about. Maybe not exactly like that. This was one of those iconic moments frozen in time. A flying golden eagle image. And part of that image, part of that recollection is that my habits saved me from harm. Here's the thing, the leave a little something in reserve, hold a little something back. It's not for every situation. I know there are occasions where it pays to go all out. That's the only way to go. But mostly, it pays not to push luck. Realizing that as well as I can ride, bringing all my years and expertise and whatever to the table, there's somebody out there, probably on more than 2 wheels, who is so bad at driving as to be able to negate any advantage experience may bring to the road. Leave yourself a little room because somebody out there will try to maim you. So the cognizant may try to gotcha me by rubbing the 7 tenths title into my sweet, cherubic, handsome face. One might feel justified in such an aggressive bleat, but that same one might be judged harsh, cruel, and ignorant, should that judgment be rendered. We all tend to slow down as we age. Yep, it's the age, and the slowing is gradual and it's organic. And you see, when my practice was 80% max effort on ride, I was in my 20s and 30s. But to address your unfounded rancor, scooter trash, I run at 70% these days for a reason, for a dang good reason. In 2011, I had a stroke. I'd had a hard week at work. I went home on a Friday, went to sleep on the couch, woke up Saturday morning on the couch, stupid. I'd had a stroke in the night. They kept me at the hospital about 10 days and then sent me home and told me I had to take it easy. And then I went back to work for a couple of days and then had a left temporal lobe partial seizure. So everything I'd been through, I went through again. I convalesced, I took it easy at work. I learned how to handle stress a little better, ate better, all those things you learn when you go through one of those things. So these days, with the exception of occasionally searching for the right word and a lingering, not stroke-related ugliness, I've recovered to the point where I'm almost as good as I once was when I was 67, which is to say as good as an old man can be on two wheels at my experience level. So I've learned I'm tough, but I'm not as tough as I once was. So 7/10 it be. I think that's fairly adventurous for an old feller with expected wear and mileage. Now here's another thing. When I go at 7/10, the weather and conditions have to be completely to my liking. There are the typical challenges of traffic, infrastructure, familiarity, being familiar with the environs and how I feel today. On a trip or errand, I'm usually riding in urban or suburban traffic. I ride at what I consider to be about half of my full capability to get through any points of critical decision. However, I always try to target my situational awareness, what's going on around me at 10/10. I want to be as alert as I can possibly be. I don't want to miss anything. There are no reasons riders' perceptions should be anything less than 100% of what's going on around them. If they are, get off the bike. Don't get on the bike. I know I've gotten all long form here, but my message is ride within your limits, not at your limits. That's not street behavior, that's track work. When you push your personal limit to the edge, you may become murderous. You may become a weapon. Sad enough if you end yourself. A crying sin when you slaughter a child. In closing, I'll leave that thought to fructify. Ride well.